Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this nearly every day live stream, all in accordance to the divination card that's drawn in the morning. And that particular card helps us to understand what's the most important energy flowing today for our highest good. And more importantly, it sparks usually a really interesting conversation about spirit coming through those cards. So welcome. Today is Tuesday, May 28th. Right here in Tomah, Wisconsin, where I live and where I'm broadcasting from, is the Star Nations Academy. And I have to say that it's kind of a cold spring day. It rained like all day yesterday. And today we just have cloud cover, but it's cold. It's like 58 degrees. And yeah. We went from 70 something, 74, 75, beautiful day on Saturday to rain on Sunday and Monday. Yeah. But that's spring for you, right? That's spring. So before we get too far down the road with the card information and any other kind of chatting we can do, I am going to like and share the live stream, and I'm going to share it over to my newsfeed. Yeah, there we go. I had to turn down my sound on my phone so it didn't get all squelchy. And I'm just wanting to make sure that my friends know that I'm live streaming. And asking them to please join us. There we go. And then we'll post that. There. Yeah, while we're waiting for everybody to come and join us, who's going to be joining us, I wanted to share with you something that, I actually now have two studios. One is down at the house that I broadcast from the medicine room or the meditation room, and I ended up having to get a new camera. My old camera, it was okay, but it kept losing when I'd first start the live stream. Not even starting the live stream, just getting everything prepared. It wasn't connecting as easily as it used to, and so I ended up getting a new camera, and that's the one I'm using at this studio, the one that I live stream from most often. And so it's just getting used to this one. So if you see me kind of fidgeting with the camera and trying to figure things out on the fly, that's why. That's why. And yeah, I had to play with it a little bit. I think that was Sunday. Yeah, trying to get the height and where it's going to be positioned and that sort of thing. So kind of bear with me a little bit on that. Technology is grand when it works, right? Right. What's the other thing I was going to share with you? Oh, yeah. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Day and did something special to remember those who were in the military and lost their lives with service to our country or to a country. Yeah, because we're an international company here, organization for Star Nations. And so for those of us in the United States, Memorial Day is all about remembering those who have walked on. And originally it was for those people who are in the military service. And I can't tell you when, but it expanded to include anybody that has walked on that was close to you, right? And so it's a day that we can remember. And so, yeah. So I was kind of reminiscing about my dad, who was a World War II veteran. When he walked on, he was 88. And in those last few years, I'd say 2 to 3 years, the PTSD from World War II really was at the forefront. And and to watch somebody his age going through that, right, it was hard, man. It was hard. But he did find a sense of peace. And so in remembering him yesterday, lit a candle and talk to him, that kind of stuff. So I hope you had a good Memorial Day, no matter where you are or what you were doing. Yeah. Let's see who's in the chat. I see Stephanie is hard at it. She's posted all our things from that we're doing in Star Nations, all of the live stream shows and the magazine and the classes. Thank you, Stephanie, for putting those links in there. It's always good. Hey, Julie's here too. Julie Shumway Hill. Good to have you here. Let me put my name down. There we go. Makes a little bit more room on the screen. And Marie's here too. Hello, Marie. Good to have you here. So good to have you here. And Pat's here too. Hello, Pat. It's always good to see you in the chat. Rochelle is here too, saying hello, Neshi. Deb's here too, listening to my wise words. Well, thank you. And hi, Deb. It's good to have you here too. Oh, let's see. I'm be finicky here in the studio. There we go. Oh my gosh. And Rob's here, but he's not here. It's good not to have you here, Rob. It's always good to see you in the chat too. And Polly Joe, PJ's here. Good to have you here too, PJ. You had a great show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's things that happen here at Star Nations that it's not like we get together and say, the hosts, right? We don't get together and say, okay, this is what we're talking about this week. Usually the topic comes to the show hosts, and I do get all of the topics because I put them together in one sheet for promotion information, and I send that on to Stephanie so that she can help promote the shows, right? But the individual hosts don't see that little piece of paper, that document. But what happens usually is that our shows start to dovetail. The information starts to come together and connect. And today it felt almost like, how Legos kind of click? That's what it felt like to me. Because on Sunday, if you were watching this show on Sunday, you know that we were talking about our inner fire again, right? And our manifesting again. And we were talking about how when we manifest from our high heart, that we are in balance, right? And so some of the things that Polly Joe is referring today in her show, really it started to dovetail with the information that we got through on Sunday. And so as I was listening to the show and I had to work on a couple of other things at the same time, I was thinking to myself, man, Spirit really, really is trying to get a message across to all of us, right? And so good. It was a really good show, and I loved the meditation with that. Rob, what do you know, Polly Joe? And the thing is, every time I see that or say it out loud, Rob, I always have to laugh. Rochelle says, you look good in red. Well, thank you, Rochelle. Thank you. It's one of my favorite t-shirts. It's the Potawatomi t-shirt. It's the every year, the Potawatomi Nation, the 9 bands of the Potawatomi Nation gather, and the hosting rotates from one band to another. And this is the t-shirt from it was a few years ago when the Hannibal Nation, Potawatomi Nation up in the UP was hosting, and they had these shirts. No, I take that back. This was the one from Forest County here in Wisconsin. Yeah. Thank you, though. It's one of my favorites. Yeah. All right. So today's cards, very interesting. They're cards that we have not gotten before. We have not received them last year or even earlier this spring. Before I begin, 2 questions. First of all, anybody else experiencing allergy symptoms? I know. I was thinking 2 days of rain, right? I shouldn't have to take any kind of Zyrtec or anything like that. I think I'm going to have to take something today. So spring allergy symptoms. And the second one is how many people remember to ground and center today? Because we have some information coming that it might be a good idea. If you haven't taken the time to ground today, I would suggest a pause just for a moment, and ground. Okay. Because we have some information coming that I think will be very beneficial for you to be able to take in an optimal way. Okay, so we'll pause too just for a second in case you do have to ground. We'll give you some time to do that. Okay. And Molly Joe is going, yep, allergies. I know, 2 days of rain, you think the pollen would have been washed down a bit. On Saturday, we took George swimming for the first time. Now that was hilarious, but I had to go into the lake with him, right? For him to go swimming, he wouldn't go into the water deep enough. And so anyway, as we're driving there, we could literally see, because it was windy, it was almost like clouds of green being blown, right? It was like, oh my goodness, that's all pollen. Yeah. I did take Zyrtec that day. Julie says, yay, she's grounded. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for doing that. Hello, Bobby. She says, afternoon, all great messages and energy today. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Polly Joe says, grounded. Liked and shared. Thank you. We did that earlier. I just didn't invite everybody to like it. I probably should have done that, huh? I just got excited trying to get to the information. All right. So for those who might just be joining us for the first time, even in the recorded show, this is the card deck that we're using currently. It's the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards by Chief Archie Fire Lame Deer and Helen Sarkis. It's published in copyrighted 1993, and it's out of publication right now. You can still get the book and cards used, from the usual vendors. We know Amazon.com for sure, but there's other vendors out there too that sell used. And you can really sometimes get a book and a deck that is in quite good condition. That would not be mine, by the way. I use mine quite a bit, and this is one of the decks I also use for the drum making classes that I teach. So the first card is Chunupa Wakan. Let's see if I can move my fingers over so you can see that. Chunupa Wakan. It's the sacred pipe, right? Chunupa Wakan. And it's all about prayer. It's all about prayer. And this particular picture along the sides is actually smoke. Smoke. And the Native American woman standing there is Pate Sanwi. That is white buffalo calf woman. And if you see close enough, she's got the sacred Chunupa right there. Well, along with some eagle feathers. Yeah. Pate Sanwi. And even that blue shawl that she's wearing is significant. That color blue is about spirit, right? Yeah. Pate Sanwi. And so there's smoke rising around her. And I have to say that whenever there's prayers that have been requested, and you can tell, depending on which group, you're reading the posts in, many times in some of the groups that I'm a part of, when there's requests for prayers to go out, you can tell where there's pipe carriers. because they'll say smoke rising or prayers rising. And so that means that they're going to get their Chunupas out to do the prayers, right? And so the Chunupa Wakan is, some people might know it from more of a Hollywood perspective, and that's the peace pipe. Although those in what we call Indian country, Turtle Island, for those who carry the Chunupa would say that's not quite correct. It is a sacred object meant and for peace, right? But it's not necessarily called a peace pipe. I know there's probably some people who's going to think, what? But no, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. And as you know, the authors here, they have channeled messages that go along with their cards. And so this is the channeled message for the Chunupa Wakan. It says, how can I tell you of this gift of gifts? It is a thing beyond words, a promise and a way to know. From the Creator, it comes to you. Know the promise first as a hope within. Know the way first as a questioning step. Know that both will lead you to the center of the world. Then you will understand. That's coming from the Chunupa Wakan, the sacred pipe. Okay. And now, just as a reminder, that this deck is actually coming from the perspective of the Lakota Nation. And the Lakota Nation is a part of the Osheti-Sakowee, which is the Great Sioux Nation, right? And so in their tradition, this is how they explain to us about the sacred pipe. It says the sacred pipe was made by the Creator and brought to the people by White Buffalo Calf Woman, Pate Sawi. White Buffalo Calf Woman sang, I give you this magnificent earth on which you will live and multiply. You will walk in balance on this earth. I give you this sacred object, and with it you will come to the center of the world. You will pray for the living things, those with 4 feet, those with 2 feet, those that swim, those that fly, those that crawl, and all that the Creator has given so that you might live. This is what your grandfather has said. Only thanks to this sacred pipe will the tree of life live again. Okay, so here, when they talk about the center of the world, they're talking about your heart. And they're actually talking about when they're walking in balance, they're walking in balance when they're using both their mind and their heart. Okay, so in our language, in our vocabulary here at Star Nations, we'd be talking about it from our high heart. Okay, that's when you're walking in balance. That's when you don't live in your mental mind, and you're not overcome by your emotions. That you're in balance with both. Okay, and so when we're like that. And when we manifest, when we pray, that's what they call being at the center of the world. Because the earth, Grandmother Earth, she is where we learn how to master, how to balance, how to come to the one, right? In balancing out that duality. And that's what we're doing when we balance our mind and our heart. When we balance our mental mind and our emotions. So, and the sacred pipe, the Chunupa, can help us do that. Yeah. This is a good one. Good question. Has anybody ever participated in using a Chunupa, a sacred pipe? All right. I'm just checking the chat here. And hey, Tanya's here. Hello, Tanya. She says, I'm grounded. Yay. Thank you for doing that. Because the more of us that are grounded, oh man, our world around us is so much easier to take, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So as I asked that question, if there was anybody in the live chat who has experienced being a part of using a sacred pipe, a Chunupa. Yeah. All right. Polly Joe is saying yes a few times. And Rob is saying in a sweat lodge ceremony, yes. And Deborah is saying no. Okay. Well, and the reason why I asked that question is because for those who have experienced it, you can for yourself, right, compare what it's like to say a prayer with the sacred pipe and without. For me, there's a certain energy, there's a certain synergy when using the pipe. For those nations west of the Mississippi, okay, and they're talking about carrying the Chunupa. They call it tobacco, but it's not the kind of tobacco that we're in the East used to using. Okay, they use something called conchacha, and conchacha is willow bark, and sometimes they mix other things in there too, other herbal things like sweetgrass and that sort of thing. But generally speaking, it is willow, and you don't inhale it. Okay. You don't inhale it. You hold it in your mouth. You're saying your prayers to yourself. And when you blow the smoke out of your mouth, you're embedding the smoke with your prayer. All right. Now, when they fill the pipe bowl, okay, I got to back up just a bit. The pipe stem is the male energy and the pipe bowl is the female energy. And so when you put the two together, you have balanced energies, right? Okay. And so when you're filling the bowl with the conchacha, you are, there's certain songs that can be sung for when you're filling the pipe and with the conchacha. And you're actually taking a pinch, just a little bit of the conchacha, and you're giving it like you're doing a tobacco giving ceremony. You're giving it to the Creator, to Wakan Tanka. You're giving it to Grandmother Earth, Maka, Unchi Maka, actually, Grandmother Earth, and you're giving it to the four directions. You're giving it to Grandfather Sky, Wakan Tanka. And so you're including everything that's been created, the sun, the moon, the stars. Okay, so you have the entire universe that you've given tobacco asking for help, that's sitting in the bowl. So you have the entire universe there. So when you light the pipe and you draw the smoke into your mouth, you're really bringing in all of the energies of the entire universe, everything in creation. Okay, and then you're saying your prayer to yourself, and when you blow the smoke out, that smoke is embedded with your prayer, which contains the entire universe. So it's no small thing that you're doing in using this pipe to pray. You're actually bringing in and asking the entire universe to help you. And so they say that that's why you should be in your heart in a good way when you pray with the pipe. Okay. And so I think that, no, I don't think, I know. I know that's why when you do a communal prayer like that using a pipe, and everyone is in their heart and everyone is saying their prayers and sending it out with the smoke, it's a very powerful way to be able to pray. Okay. Yeah. Now, for those Native American nations east of the Mississippi, we too have sacred pipes, but they sometimes even look different. They don't have the long stem. Sometimes they're smaller, they're shorter, and we do use tobacco. Yeah. So those that smoke can inhale. They can do that, but the principle is the same. It is the balance of the male and female coming together with the pipe. It is the giving of tobacco to all of creation, right? And all of the spirits. And so the premise is the same. They're just using two different kinds of tobacco. Yeah, yeah. And so in my family, the tradition had been that only males use the pipe, but as we evolve, and women have become more and more the heads of households because they're raising their children. Yeah, that many more women have been using the pipe, and actually it's become very acceptable and yeah, very powerful. So I know once years ago, once somebody asked me if I had a pipe or what kind of ceremonies to use with the pipe, and at that time it's like I don't have a pipe. I didn't. Because I have 4 brothers. And so, and I, as a young, at that time, many women were not using or carrying pipes, right? So, fast forward to 2013, I think it was 2014, is I received my first Chunupa. And before that, my mom gave me my first pipe, and I think it was I want to say it was 2012 or 2013, something like that. I think it was 2012. Yeah. So the use of the pipe. It's the ceremonies are just slightly different, but like I said, the premise is the same. The premise is the same. So here is the information from the card. The authors say that the sacred pipe is reminding you to pray for all life, to pray when you need support. It's here for you today to reinforce your understanding that your prayers are heard and will be answered. Pray to your grandfather, the Creator. Give thanks to the 4 directions, and all you require will be granted. Pray for the living things. Pray for those with 4 feet, those with 2 feet, those who swim and those who fly and those who crawl. Prayer is intricately related to one's personal growth. Let it become part of your daily routine. Prayer brings you to a state of peace, calm, and the awareness of higher powers. In the process, you become centered and balanced. Let your prayers come from your heart. Remember to give thanks for all that you have received. So and a lot of it is about gratitude, right? So many times, yes, I'm praying for something with my pipe, but it's usually for other people, right? There's times when I have used my pipe to pray for myself, to ask for assistance. And for me, I think it depends, because I also give tobacco too. So for me, it depends on the subject. What are we praying for? How are we praying? Right? For those prayers that are more worldwide, more global, I use the pipe. For those prayers that are more familial or personal, many times I will do the tobacco rather than the pipe. But it depends. It depends on what I'm asking for, right? Yeah, and I'm sure that I'm sure that in many other traditions and many other beliefs, not just the Native American, prayer is really it's one of our go-to things, isn't it? Right? Even if you don't have a very strong religious belief, or maybe not even a really strong spiritual belief, um, in times of crisis, in times of trouble, many times that is the first thing we do, is we ask for help through prayer. Isn't that true? Yeah, it's almost like it's possibly because that's what we were taught as children. Um, yeah, I'd like to think that it's in our hearts already, right? That connection that we have with spirit, that is something that is a part of our DNA. It's part of our memories from many lives, right? Even parallel lives. Here's the meditation that goes with this card. It says, I seek to become the clear intent in all circumstances. I seek the intention of spirit, harmony, balance, and love. Yeah. Gosh, we have so many different ways to pray, don't we? Because I've also drummed prayers. Yeah. I think that's a good thing. Rochelle is saying, no, she's never used a pipe either. Of a west-facing lodge. Yeah. I've actually west and east, because I was trained in Eastern medicine. So, and it's fairly the same. There is some slight differences, but it's basically the same. Yeah. And Roberta's or Bobby's saying yes, as we did a sweat lodge. Yeah. Yeah. I actually kind of miss that. I'm gonna have to find one here, closer to my side of the state. I might actually have to go to Minnesota. It's a possibility. And so here we go. This is Wakan. This is Chunupa Wakan, the sacred pipe. It's all about prayer. It's about praying for others. And the smoke rising your prayers to the Creator, to all of creation, and to say prayers for everyone. When you think about where we're at in the third dimension, and all that chaos that's going on out there, and they talk about global warming and all of that. When we pause to say a prayer, is to pray for Grandmother Earth, right? To pray for the animals, and to pray for that she'll be able to heal herself, right, Grandmother, and that we pray for the other two-leggeds, the other humans, including ourselves, that we begin to really take care of our grandmother, that we pick up our trash. What is it? I just saw a post. I think it was from Madonna DePaulo. She made a Facebook post, and because she lives in Baltimore, right, Maryland, and along the ocean, along the shore there, after the Memorial Day parties and stuff at the beach, and how many people didn't pick up their trash, and that looked pretty bad. But there was a bunch of volunteers who went out there and was starting to clean up after these other people. And so, it's praying for each other, right? And seeing Rob in the chat, that there's ways through Facebook and other social media means that we can request prayers for others, right? And it's so good that we have that, Rob. Thank you for doing that, for starting that. And if you could put the name, I know it's a closed group, but if you can put the name in there, at least people will know that it's out there, and that we do pray for each other. And half the time, I don't even know the people that are listed there. It's like, of course I can. I can take a moment to say a prayer for them, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the second card that came is, and we've had this one before. This one is called, let's see if I can get it on camera correctly here. This one is called Pita Hochokan. Pita Hochoka. It's the fire pit. It's about motivation. This is another way to talk about our inner fire. Okay, so I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to the camera here. Now, as you can tell, it's a fire, right? It's a pretty large fire, and there's an inipi, also known as a wigwam here in the East, and the fire is in direct alignment with the door, and you can kind of make out there's a pathway between the Pita Hochoka and the inipi. And so the Pita Hochoka is a sacred fire. It's the fire that heats the stones, the grandfathers and the grandmothers that are going to go into the lodge for the sweat lodge, for the inipi. When they create the pit, the soil that's taken out, the earth that's taken out to create the pit is put over to the side there. You can see like a mound. It's got a staff there and a buffalo skull on it. That's the altar, the Hochoka. That's the altar. And so even the sand or the soil is used in a sacred way. Right? So the Pita Hochoka is really talking about our inner fire. And if you look at the flames, you can kind of see spirits in the flames. Yeah. Okay. So here is the channeled message about this card, the Pita Hochoka. It says, I am the void that brings forth. I am the circle of creation. I am the place and the voice of the sacred fire. I am Maka, earth, transformed for your ceremony of cleansing fire. Within my cup of being, within the cup of being, find you the very clear message of life. I am the circular vessel, the home of this truth. The circular vessel. And in so many times, when we're going into an inipi, into a sweat lodge, many times it's because we have something to heal, something to release, something to pray for, right? And that fire, the sacred fire, when it started early in the day, usually around noon, there's songs, spiritual songs that are sung as they're gathering the wood to start the fire, gathering the stones to put into the fire. And they don't use starter fluid or anything like that to start that fire. It started the old way with kindling. You got to start small and start adding. So it takes a little while to get a fire that big going, right? But all along, it's all a ceremony. There's special songs that are sung. There's a fire keeper who's tending that fire for hours. And that fire keeper is the one who brings the hot stones into the sweat lodge, those grandfathers and grandmothers into the sweat lodge. Yeah. And so when they're talking about that we're searching, that as two-leggeds, that we're searching for sometimes the meaning of our life, we're searching for healing, we're searching, right? and that those grandmothers and grandfathers, they're record keepers. And so they're bringing in the wisdom of the stone people to us. And so it's a way of communicating with us as we purify and clear ourselves, right? And so the meaning of the Pita Hochoka is about motivation and talking about our inner fire. It's saying that just as the sweat lodge ceremony begins at the fire pit with the energy of flame, your new endeavors begin with your motivation. The mettle, M-E-T-T-L-E, the mettle and attentiveness generated by personal motivation carry you forward to completion, to the achievement of your goal. Your inner fire propels you forward, giving you a clear vision of your desired outcome. Carry that vision through to the end and be strong and swift as wildfire. If there's something in your life that you're attempting without success, consider the strength of your motivation. See if you can ignite your interest. If you cannot get fired up about it, maybe it's time to let it go. So when we're talking about these two items together, the Chunupa Wakan and the Pita Hochoka, these are two very sacred items with the sweat lodge. You can't have a sweat lodge without a source of fire to heat the stones. Not going to happen. And so when we're motivated to say our prayers, when we're motivated to say the sacred prayers for all of creation, with keeping in mind that we're praying for the entire world, right? With the sacred pipe. That no matter how you pray, no matter how you bring forth your motivation to have compassion and empathy for others and for yourself, this particular card draw, I don't feel like it's about ourselves individually per se, but it's about us together praying in a good way with balanced hearts and minds. It's a global message. It's a global message. No matter where you are in your healing, no matter where you are in your physical life, is to take a bit of time, of your time and your energy, to say a prayer in a grounded, balanced way. It's a global prayer. To bring our energies together, to say that kind of prayer. No matter whether you say your prayer in the morning or if I say my prayer at night, that the earth time doesn't matter. What does matter is that we are saying them with our hearts, with our minds balanced. That as light workers, as energy workers, we're awake. And that we can take the time, it's just a few moments of our time, to say a prayer for the entire world, right? Yeah, for all of us, our entire relatives, all our relations here on Grandmother Earth. In the Lakota language, Unshimaka. In the Potawatomi language, Kokimiskikan. For our Grandmother Earth. And all who reside here. calling on all of creation to support us in our prayer. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to get caught up with you guys in the chat. Hang on. Let's see. All right. It's secret. It's a secret group. Rob Kendall started this group, and it's called the Energy Healing and Spiritual Seeking Group. And it's a good one because it allows us to have the opportunity to help, right? He says that you won't be able to find it in a search, and I do that for privacy, but anyone wanting to join can private message him. Or you can add them, and Julie and I will approve them. Okay, sounds good. So if we're already a member, we can add somebody, and then they can do the approval. Yeah, that's a big fire, right? All right, and Bobby is saying we should check the spiritual camp at Wanawalk to see if they still do sweats there. Yeah, we could check there. It's not that far from here, I don't think. Wanawalk. It might be a 20-30 minute drive or something like that. Yeah, we'll see who's pouring, right? See who's pouring. Yeah, it'd be fun to do one together, huh, Bobby? Yeah. So when we're talking about the sacred Chunupa, the Chunupa Wakan, the sacred pipe, Pate Sawi, she's the spirit who brought the sacred pipe to the people. And the prayers that were used for that were for all the people. Not just some of the people, but all the people. And all of the relatives. Every resident that inhabits Unchimaka. Yeah. Grandmother Earth. And so using our inner fire, our inner Pita Hochoka, our motivation, when we say those prayers for others, this is a global message that we can take to heart. Right? Yeah. All right. So here, I wanted to share something else with you guys because those are the two cards that came out first. And then there were two others that literally fell out of the deck. And so I want to include those. I didn't put those in the message on for the show, but these two also came. And this one is the Chanli Wapakta. Wapakta? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But it's the prayer ties. And it's about social consciousness. Right? And the prayer ties, with the prayer ties, they're, let me show you the picture again. They're little, some people call them packets, but they're little bundles. They're little bundles of colored fabric, and the colored fabric does make a difference. They're the colors of the four directions. And I think they have a green one here, which is the color of Grandmother Earth. And sometimes you'll actually see blue as well for spirit. But most definitely you will see the four colors, the yellow, the red, the white, and the black. And each one of these little packets, these little bundles, has tobacco in it. Not conchacha, but actual smoking tobacco. And each one of those little bundles has a prayer. Right? And you can use those to pray for others. You can do those to pray for yourself. And many times when you go to a sweat lodge, you'll do the prayer ties, and those get hung in the inside of the inipi. And the person who's pouring, who is the holy person who is running the inipi, they will allow you to hang them in there. Okay, so that the prayers that you put in those prayer ties are all a part of the sweat lodge ceremony, and they're usually left in there for usually a year, sometimes shorter periods. It depends on what's going on with that inipi. But this particular card, when it fell out of the deck, I realized that this isn't necessarily about us individually, but this is about us collectively saying our prayers. And they're pretty powerful prayers when we're bringing in the spirit of the Chunupa. Yeah. And then the last card is the Olawanpi. They're the sacred songs. The sacred songs. And an Inipi, a sweat lodge, has many, many, many sacred songs. Everything from when they search for the right stones to use, when they cut the trees or bring in the wood, or when they put the wood to start the fire. There's fire songs, songs when you're loading your Chunupa with the Kanshasha. There's songs within the Nipi, the 4 rounds for each of the doors of the Nipi. There's lots and lots of songs, right? Lots and lots of songs. And as you know, when we're singing, we're using language that is coming from the right side of our brain. And so we're immersing ourselves in a different vibration than on our usually day-to-day stuff, okay? Now, when you think about sacred songs, each one of us has a sacred song. Each one of us have many sacred songs. We have our power songs. We have songs that have deep meaning for us, that move us to joy, to sadness, and everything in between, right? But we also have a song that's very individual to us, very unique to each one of us. And that is our own frequency, our own vibration, the song that is recognized by the Creator, that's recognized by Spirit, right? And in this very special, unique song, this sacred song that's you, each time you heal a mental or emotional trauma, each time you release something that no longer supports you, you are clearing the debris from you, and so that you get closer and closer to your original vibration, your original song. And so that all of creation begins to recognize you as like, oh, there you are. I knew you were here. I could sense you. I could kind of hear your song, but now I really get to hear your song because I can see you. I sense you, right? At least that's one of the family traditions that we have, is that they say that our native name is what we're known by, and that the Creator recognizes us by. But as I've grown up and I've taken in all this information, it seems to me that we each have a very unique song, our soul song. And so we each have that. And so when you add these all together, these cards, the message, we're going to go this way. See if I can get them all in there. See, this is why I would like you to be grounded so that you could really take in this information for yourself individually, so that when we come together to say our prayers, we're really able to harmonize all of our sacred songs, right? Let's see. Wait, got them out of order. There we go. There we go. See if we can get them all in there. All right, so then we start with Pate Sawi, the sacred Chunupa, right? The sacred pipe. The Chunupa Wakan. And then we have the Pita Hochokan, our inner motivation, our inner fire, motivating us to pray for all that is, especially for Grandmother Earth, Unchimaka, and all of our relatives. Here's our prayers, very powerful. It's about a social, bigger than ourselves, including ourselves, but much bigger than that, right? And our sacred song being heard through all of that, through the smoke. There you go. Now, just taking a big, deep breath in, just to take it all in optimally for yourself, right? There we go. So this particular card draw was really more of a global, not just for us individually. It's that too, but it's much bigger than that. Much bigger than that. And I have to say, I think this is the first time we've really had such a large, encompassing, right? Very expansive to include the entire earth. Onchimaka, Kokmiski Kan, Grandmother Earth, and all of our relatives. All of our relatives. I'm going to check to see here. Rochelle said she had to go. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers, having surgery tomorrow. Of course, Rochelle, we certainly will. Say a prayer for you and keep you in our hearts, huh? Yeah. Gonna get her knee surgery done. All right. Well, as you know, that anything and everything that resonated with you within this chat today, this spiritual conversation, even if it was just a word or a phrase or maybe the entire thing, if it resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it. And then watch, see, sense, feel how the energy is unfolding around you today and where this information is helpful. Yeah. Perhaps you're directly involved, a direct participant in that unfolding. And maybe this information will be helpful. Or perhaps you're a witness, you're bearing witness to something that someone else that you're close to is going through, or maybe not even close to. Maybe it's something that you were meant to see so that you could share the story, right? Yeah. And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. There's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's card draw, right? Yeah. So we have lots and lots of stuff coming up here at Star Nations this week for you. We have a bunch of shows coming up. I was trying to get my notes up. Here we go. Polly Jo, her show is earlier today at noon, and she was talking about shifting to a fuller frequency. If you didn't catch that live, it's recorded. I say make some time to listen to it and do the meditation. It was really good. And then my show tonight is Communications from Home at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be doing the Unity Breath. It's a guided meditation based on an ancient way of being. It's all about love, raising our frequency to love. Yeah, it's a good one. And and we get to do it together. Now, if you're working on something, manifesting something in your life, or maybe doing that global prayer, That would be a good time afterwards, after the show is done, to say that prayer or to do that manifesting, because you'll be at the frequency of love, and that is where you really, really want to be when you're doing either one of those things, right? Yeah. And so that's at 8 p.m. tonight, Eastern time. And then tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that is all about healing. The first part's a healing meditation. The second part is the card draw information. So if you enjoy getting a mini reading, Polly Jo will draw a card for you and give you that information. And I get to be there. I produce her show for her. It's a good time. And then on Thursday is Living in Two Worlds. That's with Orchern and Carl Franklin and myself. We've kind of reinvented our show. It was going under the Mystery School. Okay, it's the same co-host, different title, because we realized that the information that we were sharing was really about experiencing being an awakened being, navigating between the physical world and the spiritual world, right? Yep. And so we're going to have our very first show on Thursday night, and it's all about the devas. It's all about the devas. Who are they? What are they? Where are they? And how do we work together with them, right? Okay, it's going to be a good one. I hope you can join us. That's on 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday night. Yeah, it's good. All right. So, hey, Gina just popped in. Hello, Gina. See if we can get you up there. Hello. We're just wrapping up, Gina. And check the chat here before we say goodbye. All right, so Bobby is saying, yes, a sweat lodge would be amazing. Oh, my barefoot, grounded in ice water, pressure washed, baptized, clean as well. My pond pump and hose separated as I was hearing Polly Jo on my phone say to get in touch with loving earth energy. You know what they say, Bobby, is everything happens for a reason. Especially when you're getting doused like that, right? And she's also saying the energy is perfect for today. Be self-aware and be a witness. That's right. That's right. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Hopefully I'll see you back here this evening for Communications from Home. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.